I sure am, Linda.
Gotta make sure you're Linda. Hey, how are you, everybody? Good evening.
I'm Linda. I'm Linda.
Hey, everybody, how are you? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where in the world you are. It's Jeff Gelman of Solid Canine Training with Linda next to me. It's the What Would Jeff Do show, and I'm on every week. We never know when, but every week I do this and I answer all your dog training questions. And the reason why I do this is because I quest to give out as much free content as I can. We actually have a bunch of new programs that we'll be announcing. Well, two new programs to start that'll be really, really exciting for people to jump on board. Right now, I'm also, if you haven't been to my Facebook page, make sure you go, as well as on Instagram, because you can just get my What Would Jeff Do tips of the day. We just put tip number 36 up about 10 minutes ago, but this is a great platform for everybody to ask your dog training questions and to get really, really good answers.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you so much.
Stephanie.
If you're brand new to the show, you're going to hear me talk about punishment a lot. And the reason why I'm talking about punishment so much is because everybody, all the questions on this show are going to be, Jeff, how do I stop? Jeff, you're out of frame, honey. Can you move over?
I'm just looking at Jake 8571 saying that he loves me.
Okay, cool. So she loves you back, Jake.
Love you.
So everybody's always asking, how do I stop a bad behavior? How do I stop? How do I stop? How do I stop? The only way to stop an unwanted behavior is through punishment. That's what it is. And now people need to learn how to properly punish the dog. Now that's what they have to learn to do. And you're never mad, you're never angry, you're not upset. That's not how you do. So it's really, really important that we all learn how to do that. So training a dog to do something is a reward-based program, but stopping a dog from doing an unwanted behavior is always through punishment. So here we go. Let's ask your questions. And what do we got?
I'm not sure if this is for real. How do I punish my dog when he bites me because I use the toaster?
A lot of times, what happens is dogs should never bite you. Bottom line, a dog should never, ever put its teeth on you. So there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, is why is your dog in the kitchen? Now, that's not going to eliminate the biting necessarily, but a good question is your dog shouldn't be in the kitchen. Your dog should be, and if it's in the kitchen, it should be in place. And place is like on a dog bed somewhere, or your dog should be out of the room. But what will you do is, if you're using the toaster or whatever the dog is biting, you have to, you would say no, and then you would deliver a punisher. So what I would do is I would have a bonker. A bonker is a wrapped up towel. And if the dog went to go, bite your leg, you would say no, and you'd throw the towel at the dog. But there's a lot of other things that are probably involved. If you've got a dog in your house that's biting you, that is just a small amount of the issues. That probably lets me know that things are a little bit out of control in your house. So that's one thing you can do right off the bat. Next.
Can you give me some examples of levels of punishment?
Sure. Everything from a punisher is something that is intolerable. So a punishment could be anything that's intolerable to a dog. So it doesn't always have to be painful at all. It just has to be intolerable to the dog. But how do we punish dogs? We use a pet convincer, we use a bonker, we use a leash correction, we use a remote collar. All depends on what the dog is doing, and some things are life or death. Some things are life or death. So, some punishers should be to the dog that it might think it's going to die if it does it again. And some people take offense to that, but when you deal with dogs that attack humans and dogs that get into dog fights, you'll better understand. But it can be something as simple as a pan falling off the counter. That's a punisher. So intolerable. Next.
Can you give some examples of levels of punishment?
I just did that.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
2 dogs running around the house wild. Is that a correctable behavior?
Yeah, of course it is. So your dog shouldn't. One dog running around the house wild, the dog shouldn't do. So here we go. Here's a good example. Sorry for the folks on YouTube, but here's 2 dogs right there not running around the house wild. So it's not because I'm a dog trainer. Everybody that watches a video on the Place Command can do that. Anybody in the world that watches my free videos on the Place Command can do that. So your dog should be in place. Your dog should be in place. No dog should be running around the house wild ever. Next.
How do I stop my cane corso from scratching at the crate door around feeding time?
Okay, what you do is, again, how do you stop an unwanted behavior? Again, through punishment. So the information out there will say when the dog doesn't do it, you reward it. But that's bullshit, because then what do you do when the dog does do it? you don't reward it. So that doesn't make sense to me. So what you can do is you can walk over to the crate. You would say no, and then hit the crate. Next.
Do you ever do pack walks when you're in a different city for a seminar?
No, I do not. Next.
My dog jumps up as I attempt to put on his harness leash. Can you tell me why he does it?
Because he's excited. Next.
Glad that you seem to be feeling better, Jeff.
Yes. Next.
Taking you for a walk with the dogs. Hope you enjoy a cold Canadian night with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, great way to listen to my show is during a walk, during housework, anything like that. Next.
How can I get my dog to stop pulling?
That's easy. So getting a dog to stop pulling, you want to first use proper training equipment. We're huge advocates of prong collar. So get yourself a 4 to 6 foot leash, get yourself a prong collar, nothing more than 3 millimeters, 50 pounds and under dog, usually a 2.25, and anything over 50 pounds, usually a 3 millimeter. Make sure it fits snug and up high in the dog's neck. I've got free videos on that. Watch my video on how to size it, how to introduce it, and how to start using it. And that's how you get your dog to stop pulling. But it's not just the collar. A lot of dogs will still pull on the collar. Now you still have to now teach the dog how to properly heel next to you. And so I got video on that. So proper equipment and proper training. And that's how you do it. It takes 5 minutes or less. Next.
My dog stays on, but will not stay on place if I leave the room.
Okay. So what your dog is doing is technically it's a distraction. I mean, you think of distractions as, something like in front of your dog, but you leaving the room is sort of like, distraction as well. So what you're going to do is you have to have a punisher now. So you have to have a punisher. So what you do is make sure your dog understands place, and your dog can stay in place while you're in the room. Then what you're going to do is have your dog on a tie out or a tie back. A tie back is I'll take the leash and attach it to something in the room that if the dog can break place, it just can't get very far. So the dog can still come off, but it can't get very far, and then you still have time to say no and then correct your dog. Next.
Just wanted to quickly say that I'm glad to see you home and healthy.
Awesome, me too. Thank you.
My dog is scared outside. Do I correct her for reacting to noises or from pulling when scared?
Absolutely, yes. You can't correct the fear, but you correct the physical act of fear. And everyone, no, that's mean. You'll make the dog worse. No, you won't. So there's a lot of stuff that people it's called imagined harm. It's like, no, you won't. Like we do it all the time. Dogs ain't getting more fearful. Next.
My dog bites anybody who comes in and something biting the ankles.
Okay, so number one, your dog obviously, how do you stop your dog from biting guests? Number one, your dog should be on a leash. Number two, your dog shouldn't be greeting anybody at the house. It hasn't earned the right to do it. If your dog bit my ankles, don't take this the wrong way, I would kick your dog. Oh my God, Jeff, you kick dogs? Well, why do you only worry about your freaking dog? I mean, this is not you. I'm making these stories up in my head, but it's like, your dog just bit me. Like, how about me? How about the human being? Everybody's always worried about the dog's feelings. F that. How about Jeff Gelman's feelings? How about your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, a guest? How about like somebody that can actually sue you, like a delivery person? A mover, an electrician, a plumber. So what you're going to do is this. Dog is aroused when it's doing that. So what you want to do is you never want to allow the dog to be aroused when someone knocks on the door. So your dog should be in place when guests come in. But how do you stop it? The way you would stop it is have your dog on a leash, and if the dog goes to bite, there would be a punisher. Next.
What do you think of the hidden prong collars?
In a country where they're illegal, I think that that's acceptable. But for me, and if you care what other people think, then use them. Personally, I can give a flying F what other people think about the tools that I use. So if you want to make a comment on, on my dog wearing a prong collar, I'll just start telling you mother jokes. You know what I mean? I'll go right after you with all that stuff. I can care less what people think of the training tool. So if it works for you, do it. But me, I use these tools. I'm loud and proud, and I'm shouting from the rooftops. Next.
How do you know when your dog is ready for longer duration work?
Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Next.
Do you believe in free feeding?
No, absolutely not. No free feeding. I believe in feeding once or twice a day or using the dog's daily food to train. So we do food training for all dogs that come in. All dogs that come in, you eat 2 cups a day. Great. We take those 2 cups, we put them in a little food pouch. That's the food we're going to use over the course of the day for you. Free feeding we don't do. So if you're not using food anymore to train your dog, they eat in the morning, they eat at night, and then we're done. Next.
Hi, you're so good. I have a 16-week puppy. Have you got any advice on training for her, please?
Absolutely. Everything that I talk about, you can do all marker or clicker, take your pick, in food training. Start with all your basics, massive amounts of structure. The dog should be in the crate for a good amount of the day. Don't pick up your dog and carry it around. And remember, you're raising a dog, not a puppy. Next. But watch all my videos. I've got 5,000 videos. Next.
Have a fearful dog who has made great progress. Would like to get second dog eventually. Any advice?
Just make sure your dog, what you can do is you can start fostering dogs. Start fostering dogs if you want to. Give that a shot. Make sure your dog is dog friendly. You definitely want to do that to make things easier for you. And the other dog most likely won't work the fear out of the dog. So you definitely want to make sure that your dog is, I just did a what would you have to tip on this. Make sure your house is in order before you expand it. Next.
Today my dog didn't want to get in my wife's car. He prefers mine. Is this common?
Yes, but all you do is you just make the dog get in the car. So you pick it up, you put it in, you drag it in, you do whatever you want it to do. I have no problem with that at all. Next.
Prong collar is awesome. I have never had to do a strong correction. It's like a miracle.
Good, but if you do, you're going to do it. You're not going to hurt your dog. Like everybody thinks that prong collars, because they look barbaric, hurt dogs. They're actually designed to be gentler on dogs, and they are. So 4,000 plus dogs, and we've had to give some hard corrections because we work with some really intense dogs. Never hurt a dog on a prong. Next.
I can't find your how to teach out command on YouTube with a prong. What am I missing?
I might be deep down in there. I don't know where it is. With a prong, you would just say the word out, and then you would give a very firm leash correction. It's so much easier, though. It's so much easier with a remote collar. It's so much easier. Next.
How do you heal with two dogs?
You do master one dog at a time, and then if you feel comfortable, put one dog on each side, and then eventually put two of them next to you. You're not using strength. Remember, you're not using strength at all. Once you start working with two dogs, though, they tend to vie for who tries to be ahead. Just don't let them do that. Next.
Brother is getting a second hunting dog puppy. What's a good way to introduce to my nervous dog?
Well, if you've got a nervous dog, it might struggle. It might struggle with a new dog because puppies are high energy. They get in your face, so it might struggle with that. And then what's your skill on reading dog energy and dog body language and dog communication? Best way to do it though is the puppy isn't going for a walk, but usually it's to go for a walk. What I would do is don't say I want them to be best friends. Like don't look too deep into it yet. It's like get them to each other. But a lot of puppies piss off dogs. Next.
Is it ever too late to train?
No, if your dog is breathing, you can train it. And if it's not breathing, it does a downstay. Next. It's never too late to train your dog. Ever. Next.
Watching my first live with you. So excited. Thanks for all your information.
Awesome.
Started crate training. Crate is in bedroom with me. Is that an issue? Creating more separation anxiety?
Yes, I would. What I would do is I would get the crate out of the bedroom. And if you personally, the human, have a hard time with that, bingo. That's why I told you to get the crate out of the bedroom, because it's hard for you. Who's got the separation anxiety? You or the dog? Next.
7-month-old puppy randomly peed on other dog's bed today. Totally house trained. Ideas?
If it's random, it's random. It could have been just a fluke. Could have been a fluke. If you catch him in the act, you can punish it. If you don't catch him in the act, you can't. Next.
Puppy 12 weeks, videos on heel, having issues teaching it. She pulls a lot, want to raise right.
Okay, so hold on one second, guys. If you're not following me, why don't you just follow me? And if you want to share this, always feel free to share my podcast, my periscopes. And if you want to give me hearts, you can tap on the screen. If you want to give me super hearts, I'd always appreciate that. Also, I've got lots of different social media platforms. I've got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Jump on those, follow me there, and turn on all the alerts. 12-week-old puppy, don't worry about healing yet. Worry about going in and out of a crate properly, waiting for its food, work on sit, work on recall, all food stuff. And then also just get the dog to be comfortable with a leash on its neck. Just use a little slip lead. Some dogs are like they freak out about anything on their neck. Next.
Finally made it to Star Mark Academy, week 5 of 12.
Awesome. Congratulations. Texas is great. Make sure you eat plenty of barbecue. Next.
How do you correct jumping?
Jumping is easier to correct than teaching a dog to sit. I've got a video on my YouTube channel, how to correct jumping. I just did a what would Jeff do tip on this as well. You correct jumping this, but you make jumping suck for the dog. That's how you stop jumping. Jumping hurts humans, and jumping ends up with dogs in shelters. So what you do is leash on the dog, prong on the dog, that you'll have the dog, have it walk up to somebody that you already know, obviously, because you're going to give this dog a hard correction. The dog goes up and it jumps. You can say no, and they give a very firm pop, not pull, but pop. Remote collar is better. It's way easier. Dog jumps up, remote collar stim. It sucks to jump on people. Next.
8-month-old is fearful, nervous around young kids. We don't have any in our family to prove her with.
So what you want to do is get that dog to do a really good heel, find playgrounds to go to and walk the perimeter, but do not allow children to interact. You might hear, no, let children give the dog treats and feed it to them. No, do not do that. You will make it worse. Existence. Get your dog to exist around kids, but not interact around kids. Step 1. Next.
Is allowing a dog to go off on a long leash in a field good strategy for confidence?
Give it a shot. Sure. Why not? Why not? It won't hurt. It's a good time to train recall. That's for sure. Next.
My dog drools in the car, and right before going in, we tried short trips to fun places. Any ideas?
You can't correct drooling. That's for sure. You put a towel down. Put a towel down.
I correct your drooling.
Yeah, you do. I know you do. This is the thing. This is all I can tell you is this. This is what I can tell you. We have dogs that come into our training center that get car sick. After 2 weeks of board and train, we'll take them onto an outdoor excursion, out-of-property excursion, off-property excursion. We'll drive them there every day for a week. They don't throw up. Think about that. Structure, less stress, rules, boundaries, consequences, obedience, less stress.
If I were more obedient, would I stop puking in the car?
You're obedient like a bitch.
Whoa.
Next.
Chihuahua nips at other dogs and very noisy.
You know what? Hopefully the other dogs will give the Chihuahua a bite back. Mm-hmm. It's a bad behavior. I own 2 Chihuahuas. It's not a Chihuahua thing. What I would do is, we would use a dressage whip. So we would use a dressage. Guys, by the way, we're getting tons of questions. We're going to get to them, but we're going to get tons of questions, guys. We're going to them as quick as we can. So please be patient, and thank you for being patient. We use a dressage whip, and what we would do is if I had my Chihuahua out with another dog and I saw it nipping, I would give that Chihuahua a little bit of a smack on the ass, and that Chihuahua would go out and probably go running away, but he would learn not to do it. Next.
Sometimes the dog will just bitch slap the little Chihuahua.
Hopefully the other dog will do it for me. But if the other dog doesn't do it for me, someone's got to do it. Next.
This is exciting and awesome. You both rock.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there anything you can do to stop submissive urination in a grown dog?
Oh my God, I wish your dog was biting. I'd have better answers for you.
Oh my
I'd have such better answers for you. Pee stuff, back in my S&M days, we dealt with that stuff all the time. But right now, I'm not really good at dealing with the pee stuff. So what you can do is this: believe it or not, not a lot of excitement. Check for a UTI. So check for a UTI, and make sure the dog has got a really good schedule. For outside, do a lot of confidence building stuff, and do all food training. So you do trick training, do agility, as much structure as you can. Next.
Drink your tea before it gets too cold.
Oh, thank you.
Dog lunges at cars passing by on walk. Ideas? Yeah,
big ideas. Awesome ideas. Teach your dog to heel properly next to you. Proper equipment. If you're not using a prong collar, put your dog on a prong collar. Use a 4 to 6 foot leash. Heel your dog next to you. And as soon as your dog starts getting aroused, and it starts, you can tell. It's like, here comes the car. Your dog's getting aroused. That's when you correct the dog. Don't wait until the dog lunges. As soon as the arousal is there, boom. Next.
Can I train Prong and e-collar at the same time, or one then the other?
Yes,
I want to do off-leash ASAP.
Yes, you can. Next, you can layer it. Next.
My dog attacks dogs that enter her space.
Don't let dogs enter her space, which is, listen, if you've got a dog-aggressive dog, I specialize in that. This is a really, really 15-second answer is really, really hard on that. So number one, get a muzzle for your dog in case you have to muzzle train your dog. When I talk about muzzle, it's the basket muzzle. It's not the ones that keep the dog's mouth shut. It's the basket muzzles that the dog can drink water, take food, breathe, and pant. And they can even bark in them. And then what I want you to do is, we have a huge process for rehabilitating aggressive dogs. But we do it. That's probably going to be a Skype visit. Next.
Should you work on one command at a time until mastered and then move on,
No.
or all at once?
You can do like one a day and then every fourth day throw them all together. But they don't need to master everything, or you're going to be like, hey, how's your dog doing? It's been 2 weeks. Oh, we're still working on sit. It's like, no, you can work a couple a day, if not all of them every day. Next.
I made the mistake of buying a pet liner e-collar, and it doesn't work for my dog over 50. What kind of?
I don't know, but it's a crap one. So
yeah.
Get yourself either Dogtra, Garmin, or e-collar technologies. Next. Don't go cheap when it comes to remote collars. They suck. I've seen them online for $27. I mean, no. Next.
My dog's, wait. Anxiety and crate, what to do?
Anxiety and crate. So believe it or not, watch my separation anxiety video. It's on my YouTube channel, separation anxiety video. Watch that. Use a remote collar. And believe it or not, you can actually correct anxiety and crate. Depends on what the dog is doing. If the dog is physically like spinning around, you correct that. If they're sitting up, you can make them do it, you lie down. But if they're lying down and panting and anxious, you just got to wait it out. Next.
My dogs jump on me when I let them out of their crates.
So punish that. So get yourself a pet convincer. Pet convincer is compressed air. Have the pet convincer like over at your chest. They jump on you. Boom. Correct.
How to make dog friendly?
That you can't make them dog friendly. You've got to rehabilitate and train them. That's a very long process. That 15 seconds answer is not going to do it. So again, that's probably going to be a Skype session. But right now, keep your dog away from other dogs, which is not like the fix, but it's the ethical thing to do. Right now, get them around other dogs, but not interacting with other dogs. Next.
Should I get 2 separate e-collar remotes or one remote to control 2 dogs?
You can do a 2-dog remote system. So at e-collar technologies, it's a 302, which is one remote. You got one button on the first dog, second button on the second dog.
What's your opinion on Weimaraners?
They're dogs. Next.
We adopted a Malamute, but my Husky is very dominant. How do I get them to be friends?
We don't know if they can be friends or not. You need them to exist with each other. You need them to exist with each other. So you, the human, are going to have to be leading this show. Don't let the dogs do it. So the first thing you work on is existence. So you go for structured walks together. You have them in the same room in place together. Here's a good example. Like we have dogs that are like this. See those 2 dogs right there that don't get along. We have dogs that are, that don't get along, that can lie down next to each other. Work on existence. Don't want them to be friends yet. Get them to just exist with each other. Next. And that's through training. That's through training. Guys, if you're 2 dogs that don't like each other, can't do a downstay next to each other, all right? They can't do a downstay next to each other, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So get them to exist. Next.
I don't use them, but what do you say about shock collars?
Are you serious? Sorry, Siri, not you. Are you serious? Have you not listened to the show? Learn about me. So it's your first time here. Welcome to my show. Madly in love with you. I am been talking about shock collars for the last 10 years, loud and proud. I'm a remote collar trainer. They're awesome. Remote collar training is awesome for a dog. Shock collar training is awesome for a dog. All dogs. It's not a last choice. It is the best choice in my opinion. Next.
Do you know? I'm going.
Sorry.
Do you know anything about allergies or skin problems?
I don't. That would be I would go to a homeopathic vet for that or an herbalist for that. I just do dog training stuff. Health and diet, I don't know much about. Next.
Excellent results walking dog outside perimeter of dog park per your advice. Thank you.
Awesome. Proud of you. Fist bump to you. Thanks for taking my advice. But this is the thing. I give out a shitload of advice. It's the people that actually do something with it that are making progress. Next.
I disconnected the bell in my home to eliminate excitement when someone comes to the door. Okay.
Personal choice. I wouldn't. I would hook the bell back up and train my dogs to shut the heck up when the bell rang. That's what I would. That's what I would do. Up to you. If it works for you, do it. If it works for you, do it. Next.
If my dog has a major panic attack on a prong and tries to flee, can she hurt herself?
I've never, ever, 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 ever seen a dog hurt itself on a prong collar. I have trained over 4,000 dogs on prong collars. And yes, I've seen the 2 photos online. All right, I've seen that. Those are that's from abuse, not from training. So you know your dog can't hurt itself. Next.
Prong collar dance worked a miracle.
Awesome. Proud of you. Next.
Hi, guys. New Pennsylvania follower. Love your videos.
PA's in the house.
Thanks for all you do.
You're welcome. Next.
Best workout for 2 Rottweilers, 1-year-old.
What you can do a couple of things. If they're off leash trained, you can run them off leash, do fetch, do frisbee, do agility, but work them through their obedience commands, right? Work them through their obedience commands. Swimming is really, really great. Off leash hiking is really, really great. Just live a great life with your dogs. Next, but also teach them how to do a lot of nothing. That's the magic. So next to me on the floor are 2 high drive working line, German Shepherds. And I only say that because everyone's got, you don't understand, my dog has got lots of energy. These dogs have got lots of energy, but not right now because I told them to do nothing. They're not tired. No, they'd love to go swimming in the ocean right now. Next.
Crate 2 dogs next to each other cause more separation anxiety?
No, next.
Makes me so happy when you read my question. Thanks, Linda.
We try to read every single question. We do read every single question, unless you.
Maybe she just likes my voice.
Oh, cool. If you
my face,
right,
everything about me.
Right. Next.
Oh my God! I need to start over with everything. Just found out I'm doing everything wrong. Overwhelming.
Don't worry about it.
Give yourself a break.
Don't worry about it. Okay. Don't worry about it. You're doing okay. You're in the same boat as everybody else.
So where does she start?
Being self-aware is cool. Go to my DIY, do-it-yourself videos on my YouTube channel. They're free. Consume my Facebook page. Consume my Instagram. And consume my YouTube. Next.
My dog pulled my dad to the ground chasing a cat on a walk.
Yep.
What method is best to unteach?
Teach your dog how to heel properly. So prong collar on the dog, and teach the dog to heel. But here's a great example, guys. It's just with the bathroom. 9 pots. So here's a great example about anybody that's ever opposed to a training tool. Anybody that's ever opposed to a prong collar thinks it's mean. That dog pulled her
father.
Pulled her father down. Everybody's worried about the freaking dogs. Trust me, I care about dogs. I'm worried about her father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about her father. I am 100 times more worried about her father's safety than any discomfort to a dog to teach it something. So, and a prong collar won't be uncomfortable. But for all these folks out there that are like, oh, it's mean and inhumane, bullshit. That dog, who's on borrowed time sometimes, in my world at least, because they can be really badly behaved, I'm worried about her dad, the human. Next.
Is T3 good for absolute beginners? Want to learn as much as possible for my pup and maybe new career.
Absolutely. That's exactly what T3 is for. There's one in 2 weeks in Chatsworth, California, and there's one in June in Providence, Rhode Island. It's Train the Trainers with Sean and Jeff. Next.
How do you stop dominance from my first dog to my recent adoption?
It's big picture stuff. It's big picture stuff. Hold all the dogs accountable, have a consequence, have lots of structure, in the house. Don't put up with any nonsense whatsoever. Make sure both dogs are on the same page as far as training, and don't stop any unwanted dominant behavior that you don't like. Next.
Before their food time, do you use the food for training and still give them their meal, or feed all?
No. It's all their daily food is their training food, so they don't eat twice. They'll get fat. Next.
I love this. How often do you guys do Q&A?
I try to do it once a week. This is my 400 and something. Next. No, I don't know any good Call of the Wild. Sorry, I don't know any good sheep trainers. I apologize. I don't know any good sheepdog trainers at all. Jordan at my trainings center does, though. So, just email me and I'll forward it to her. Next. There's somebody up in Massachusetts, I think. Next.
Working with fearful dog off leash. Great around home base, but super nervous off property. Thoughts?
A lot of environmental. So, build up your dogs, build up your dog's confidence by doing more off-leash stuff and more guidance from you. So remote power off-leash work can help your dog overcome fear around environmentals. Next.
Girl is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
She's pretty cool. Layered e-collar with prong a few days ago. Unbelievable positive response.
Awesome. Cool.
Are they crated in the car? They don't see the outside. Regarding car sick. LOL, you guys are funny.
Yeah, I mean, some people are like, put the windows down, keep them in crates, have them facing forward. There's some essential oils that you could rub on the dog's belly sometimes that might work for all the car sickness stuff. Next.
1-year-old bull mastiff loves to play but insists on towering over me. Is that a dominance thing?
Loves to play towering over you. If your bull mastiff is towering over you, that means you're on the ground or the dog's up on your shoulders. So if it's play, you've established the rules. So I mean, I let my dogs, play tug, which is biting. So I don't think that's a problem. But if it all depends on what the rules are. What are the rules? I'm not quite sure when your dog would be towering over you. If it's towering over you, then where are you, the human? That's what I would want to know. Next.
Dogs tear up their crate pads and chew up everything.
No crate pads. Gone tonight. Next.
Any tips for sound fearful dog? Started crate plays, structured walks. How do I respond to her fear?
What you're going to do is the physical action of fear, you can actually correct. So when your dog gets afraid, it starts spinning around in its crate. If it barks, if it sits up, if it wants to flee, you actually can correct that. But you can't tell a dog not to be afraid. More duration work through fearful environmentals with being held accountable for leaving place, for instance, will get the dog over fear. So for instance, when your dog's in place and all of a sudden it hears an environmental that startles it, but you make sure that dog doesn't leave place, that's how it's going to get over its fear. Next. If you guys just read a little bit of information about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Just do like the quick dummies version. Next.
Not that you're dummies.
No, just do that.
Hurricane Harvey rescue, terrified of sewer drains, manholes, etc. Loses focus and pulls on, I don't know.
Okay.
Is it a Herm Springer?
Okay, this is what I want you to do. You will never, ever, 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 ever refer to that dog as a Hurricane Harvey rescue. Ever. It doesn't matter. It's not important to the conversation. I'm not yelling at you and I'm not mad at you. But it makes a huge difference into the psyche of the human being holding the leash and how far that they will go in the rehab process. Because something about those 3 words is going to keep you from punishing properly a dog that needs it, because you'll think that it's already gone through enough trauma. This is why we can be as successful as we can, because we call that dog dog. We call that dog dog. So fearful and nervous, massive, and I'm not yelling at you or mad, but it's such an important point. It's such an important point. So it's probably the most important point I've actually said in the last 6 months, actually. So what do you do about fearful dogs? What do you do about fearful dogs is this. Hold them accountable. Massive structure. Teach them obedience. Work them through their environmentals. Most people have a hard time with that. I work with feral dogs. So feral dogs are afraid of human beings. Not fearful. They are fearful, but feral. F-E-R-A-L. True feral dogs. A pack of them down in South Carolina I work with, and I documented my work and I put it out there. Or I put it out there for everybody to see. These are dogs that are so afraid they shit and piss at the sight of a human being. You touch them, fainting goats, they freeze up and they fall over and they shit and piss. Totally afraid because they can't get away because they're in an enclosure. So The best thing you can do is hold them accountable. Push them through their fear. Push them. Don't keep them below a fearful level. Push them past a fearful level. Push them past a fearful level, but you are there with them, advocating for them. That's how you turn around fear. Next.
No Tom Brady jokes.
I can care less about, guys, you're talking to the most uncaring football fan, sports fan there is.
But if we did care, we'd be Pat's people.
Okay, next.
Shh. I've always thought leaving a dog in a backyard is a bad idea, especially when he reacts to other dogs.
It's a bad idea. I have no problem with outside dogs. I own an outside dog. I have a German Shepherd. I have a German Shepherd that lives outside, and he's got a heated doghouse. Everyone thinks like, oh, they're all chained to a post with like no food and water. Many dogs love living outside. If I had acreage, all my dogs would be outside dogs. Every one of them. They'd live outside. They go to a barn, they go into a room or something at night, and then during the day they go run. They run free on the acreage. That's what I would do with my dogs if I had acreage. So, if your dog is barking, though, put a bark collar on it outside. That's how you stop that. Like that. Next.
Our 2-year-old Labradoodle plays awesome at dog park, but anywhere else he goes crazy when he sees dogs.
So what your dog wants. First of all, stop going to dog parks. Dog parks are a little bit unhealthy. Your dog is excited about meeting other dogs. Chances are it's excitement. He's on a leash, most likely. Dog's on a leash. Your dog probably wants to play with other dogs. It's excitement. Please don't let that dog come up to another dog, ever. But I'm saying that's most likely what it is. We see that all the time. Next.
Hey, Jeff and Linda, love you guys. Are you still doing the Skype sessions?
That's how I make a living, actually. I'm not doing my free ones. That was 2017. 2018, I'm doing my What Would Jeff Do tips. Tip number 36 is today. But I do Skype. That's actually how I make a living. All the information that I'm passing on here, I actually charge $250 an hour for, but you get it in long format and you get it one-on-one coaching. So I still do Skypes. Next.
Sorry, asked last time. Which e-collar tip to use for Samoyed for 3/4 inch thick fur?
I would do the thick fur contact points. Thick fur contact points, the longest ones that they have. Next. You could also watch the replays. Next.
How to socialize aggressive dogs?
Don't right now until you get professional help. Do not. Absolutely do not. Because it's a specialty. There's not that many people like us in the country that can do that. Whenever I say that, people are like, yeah, there's a bunch. Really? Name them. There's got to be 50,000 dog trainers in the country, and I bet you less than 100 of them work with aggression. So there's not that many. So what I would say, until you get professional help from somebody that knows how to do it, don't do it. There's way too many variables. Way too many variables. What you're going to want to do, though, is get your dog muzzle trained. If it doesn't know how to wear a basket muzzle, so a basket muzzle, we want that dog to be able to wear a basket muzzle and love doing it. So that's your homework, is get the dog to wear a basket muzzle. Next.
Can you tell me some good ideas to train while feeding?
Everything. Every command, agility equipment, trick training, everything. Next.
5-month-old puppy bites leash when given correction. Pop with the prong. The firmer the pop, the more aggressive.
I know.
Aggravated he becomes.
Aggravated,
biting
right.
the leash harder and even biting my hand hard.
I know, because what you're doing is you're getting the dog more aroused. So what you need to do is what happens when the dog bites the leash and you pop it. You're actually not popping the leash as much. You're popping the leash in the dog's mouth. So what you've got to do is get yourself a pet convincer. Well, this is how you can really fix it. This is the simplest way to fix it is this. Have somebody with a dressage whip walking behind you, off to the side of where the dog is. Every time that dog bites the leash, have them take the dressage whip, give them a quick whip to the butt. It sounds mean, but it stops the bad behavior. Keep in mind, when everybody sees these highly trained, bomb-proof obedient dogs, it wasn't magic. Anytime anybody has seen a dog go from really bad aggressive behavior to really good behavior, it wasn't magic. And it wasn't done with just food. There's always some punisher in there, if not a lot at some point, in order to get them out of where they are. So that's what you do. Next. Or get a pet convincer, which is air. The dog bites the leash, let the leash loose, take your pet convincer, use the pet convincer, and it startles the hell out of them. They open up their mouth. Next.
Will the pet convincer freak out my fearful dog if I use it on another dog?
Yes, most likely it will. That's the downfall of pet convincers. That it's not directed at one dog. Everybody hears it. That's why we like remote collar so much. Next.
What's your favorite charity for dogs?
I think most of them are a scam. Sorry, they do. Most charities in general, we don't even go down that road, are a scam. I don't have a favorite dog charity. Next.
I love you too. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh.
Just tuning in, it's Jeff Gelman of Solid Canine Training. My What Would Jeff Do show. We've got a training center up in Providence, Rhode Island. We specialize in aggression, rehab, behavior modification. Got an awesome staff that's killing it up there, doing a great job. I personally travel the world doing dog training seminars. You go to rvdogtrainer.com.
I'm having a little technical thing going here.
Okay.
I'm a fan. Got on prong collar and works. We'll be visiting Providence from Utah this week. Can I visit?
No, you cannot visit. We're and I'm not trying to be rude or in hospital. We can go meet for coffee. We can, definitely message me. Let's go meet for coffee. We have a private lockdown facility. It's not because we don't want anybody to know what we are, but it's for the safety of my staff and it's for the safety of the dogs on the property. So our building is on permanent shutdown. And the reason why it is because when you have a social media profile like we do, you get a lot of people that don't like you because I'm so outspoken. So what you get then is you get some crazy people online that actually make death threats to us. So I've gotten numerous death threats, and I've also gotten threats to my physical harm, and my staff has gotten death threats, and some of my females have gotten threats of sexual attack and physical harm. So we're a lockdown facility, so you can't come in unless you're a client. So, but I'll absolutely meet you for coffee. Hell yeah. Next, even a snack.
These
Next.
questions are going crazy.
Next.
Okay. Hard to see dog and heel and do not know if reaction is coming on walks towards strangers.
So you can start feeling it. Start seeing if you can feel it. Also, you can look down at your dog if you have to every once in a while. Just glance down. Next. We're doing the best we can, guys, here.
These questions.
Sometimes when the questions come in too fast, it messes up the software.
It all up. Yeah. Had a small party last night for game. Had wonderful comments on my training with dog. Thank you.
Awesome. So proud of you. Next.
Do you know anything about black and tan coonhounds?
You got yourself a hunting dog. So as far as training them up, they're going to train up for family pet dog training, just like all the other dogs do. But you're going to want to work that dog. I'd get that dog to be off leash trained, so you can enjoy some nice hikes with that dog.
Hi from Ontario, Canada. Glad I didn't miss you guys tonight.
Oh, awesome. Hey, what's up, Canada? I'll be up in Canada. I got 2 dates up there. I got a date up in Ottawa and a date over in Kelowna.
Hey, if I don't read your question soon, ask it again because things are going wacky.
No,
here.
we got him back. Don't ask him again. We got him back.
We don't though. That's
okay.
The thing. Can extensive play with other dogs lead to hyper bratty behavior?
Yes, it can. Next.
My dog is very happy the Eagles won. That's funny.
Awesome. You guys can snuggle together. Next.
Chew toys in crate and in place.
Oh yeah, if you want to, absolutely. Yeah, but don't think it's gonna tire your dog out or it's gonna stop anxiety. But absolutely, yeah, your dog's gonna have toys. What do I care? Next.
Much less pressure from prong than with the flat collar. She loves it.
1,000 pressure. Did I say Ottawa? Collinwood. I'm sorry. Did I say Ottawa? Maybe I did. Next.
Do you put water in crate? She always drinks a ton after she gets out.
You can keep water in crate, yes. Be careful about your dog drinking too much water at once. So if you want to put a little bit of water in the crate, you can, yes.
My one dog won't even go in the same room as the other dog from fear. Help.
Well, your dog's possibly telling you a message. So, if your other dog is stable and isn't going to go after the fearful dog, so what I would do is I would then put your fearful dog on a leash and teach it place and bring it in the room and put him in place. Next. And then also do walk-bys. Next.
Do you think visits to dog store are a good idea for socialization?
No, I don't. I can't stand. I go to dog stores to pick up supplies. My dogs stay in the car. Next.
My one dog. Okay, we already did that one. Hold on. What if dogs play and chew each other's collars?
I would take the collars off. A dog could die from that. And the reason is your dog's bottom jaw is going to get caught on the dog collar. It won't be able to get it out. The dog underneath will end up dead because they'll start panicking. You'll go to, it'll get stuck. So it gets stuck there. And then you'll go to try to disconnect them and you'll end up getting bit. But that's a very common way for a dog to die. It's usually the dog on the bottom. They get asphyxiated. Next.
I'm looking to take my dog to a new place, running out of ideas. Can you help?
Move to Russia. That's a new place. Like there's just go wherever you want to go with your dog. Like, so whether it's Home Depot or a pet store or just live your life. Just live your life. Just live your life with your dog. Just live your life with your dog. Just go train instead of worrying about going to new places. Okay, I go to the same place every day with my dogs. You guys watch me play railroad track fetch? It's the same place every day. I play fetch there. It's fine. Now, if I was on the road, I'd be in a different place every day because I travel across the country in my RV with my dogs. But when I'm in town, I go to the same place.
4-month dog. Is it too young for a prong collar?
No, it's not. Next.
How did you teach your daycare dogs not to bark? Are they all your clients? So impressive to see vibe.
Yes. Our daycare, again, it's a private facility. So all daycare dogs are client dogs, but stopping that is pretty easy to do. Next.
It's hard to see my dog in the heel. We did that one already. Yeah. Do you use prong collars all the time or just walks and training?
Walks and training. I mean, what else? Like, what are the other options? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so walks and training, but you're always training your dog. But once your dog is under voice control inside, Melodies, can I eat the beautiful woman's ass?
Can you please get that before it goes away?
If you said, what, $150? $250. $250.
Shut up. Please, I don't know. That's not funny to me.
Just PayPal. Next. Sorry. Was that too low? $350? Keep going. Next.
Okay. On off-leash time for dogs, is it ever acceptable for them to kill wild animals?
I prefer the payer always pays the fee. They always pay the fee. So shit. Sorry. I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked, guys. Oh my god. I'm in trouble already.
What are y'all, 80? Get that shit off. Excuse my French.
Next. Right.
Did I ask a question about killing animals? Did you answer
Yeah,
this?
so I prefer if your dog didn't kill animals out in the wild. I prefer it. Because you know what? When your dog goes to chase those animals, they might chase them into a cactus. They might chase them off of a cliff. They might chase them into a street. They might, do anything.
I don't like you.
Okay, fine. Next.
How do you get a 16-week-old to stop playing? Keep away instead of fetch.
Well, 16-week-old. If you have a 16-week-old dog, even if you're playing fetch with it, keep it on a long line. So get yourself like a 1/4 inch line and keep it on the long line. Next.
How do I know when dog is ready for off leash?
What you do is you test it in an enclosed area. You test it in an enclosed area. So you've got a really good recall on your dog. What's going to happen is your dog will most likely do well off leash, but test it in a enclosed area so you could be off leash. Next.
Hi guys, Tim here. Excited to come pick up Tex and train with everyone.
Oh my God, Tex is killing it. Tim, Tex is killing it.
Yeah, e-collar for husbands sounds great.
Guys.
Fantastic.
Guys. I'm just gonna have to come up with $350, give it to her, and she'll forget about it. Next.
That's a great idea.
It's true.
What's the biggest mistake dog trainers make in your opinion? When I see cash, my mind goes
See that?
everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kathy, I literally answer 300 to 400 questions a night. I'm doing my best, Kathy. I'm doing my best.
I haven't seen that name yet.
We haven't seen that name yet at all. Like we got 100 questions all queued up. Trust me, I'm not skipping questions. I'm absolutely not. We don't skip questions here. So, what was the question?
Whose question?
Oh, what's the biggest mistake that dog trainers make? Probably not being open-minded to other dog training techniques. Probably not. I mean, I've got a big ego, but I won't let it stop me from asking a colleague for help. That's probably the biggest thing. Also, probably working with aggressive dogs when they shouldn't be working with aggressive dogs. That's probably a big mistake for them to do because that's safety. Next.
You once said you don't believe in a timeout. Can you expand on this?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I just don't believe in timeouts. So it doesn't need much expansions. I don't believe in it because I don't feel it works. Karen, thoughts? Yes, Uma was named after Uma Thurman. Next.
It's been great being able to watch him all this time. That's Tim.
Awesome.
I'm a fan. We did that one. For a high energy dog, how many times a day should they be run? Chuck it.
I do with my dogs. I do 2, maybe 3, 10 to 15 minute sessions with my guys. Next, but in the spring and 8 months out of the year, I swim them a lot. I swim my dogs a lot. Next.
One dog brings the mail to use, the other doesn't chew it, just plays with it, then brings it. Is that
the mail?
Yeah.
No, your dog can't be chewing the mail. Next.
No, it doesn't chew it.
Oh, who cares? That's fine. Next, as long as the dog brings it to you and drops it in front of you, cool. Give it a reward. Next.
I read to keep your chin up when talking to your dog. You agree?
I don't believe everything you read. Next. Like what? Like this? Like, no, that doesn't make sense. Don't keep your chin up. Whatever you know. No. Next.
What next higher level is best for correction training after you find their
when you get so when you get your dog's working level, what's the correction level? Your dog will tell you. Your dog will tell you. It's not going to be like, so if your dog's working level is 10, it's not going to be 15. Like you're going to 25 to 30 for a good correction. All right. It also depends on what they're doing. If they're jumping on counters, you're going all the way up. If they're getting in the trash, they're going all the way up. Getting in the litter box, you're going all the way up. But when it comes to obedience, when they're ready for correction, you can go to, figure double. Do double. Next.
Sister-in-law let her 3-year-old toddler lie and grab the dog. Face bite, infection, hospital, dog put down.
Yep, there you go.
Cautionary tale.
Yep, there you go. Next.
Can extensive play with other dogs? No, we did that one.
Yep.
Is it okay to pull my dog if he sits and protests while on a prong collar?
Yes, it can. If you're on a walk and your dog sits and you know your dog can walk, yes, you can give your dog some encouragement to keep moving. Next.
How to get dog to ignore fence reactive dogs on walks.
So what you're going to do is teach your dog how to do a proper heel. Remote collar heel your dog. There's something called remote collar healing. We don't have a video on that yet. My buddy Sean O'Shea from The Good Dog, thegooddog.net, he's got one. And keep your dog, every time what it does is if your dog starts getting aroused, you would correct that. Start with space though. So maybe you start across the street and then work your way closer. But you don't need to walk, you don't need to walk your dog right next to the fence. Right next to the fence. And yeah, you can do it on a prong. It's all about controlling the dog's arousal. That's what it is. Once the dog gets aroused, you lost it. Next. Gas and clutch. There you go.
Tips for road trips, 12-hour ride, 2 dogs and passengers.
All depends on how well behaved, how well trained the dogs are. I suggest if your dogs are not under voice control, meaning if you happen to open up the door like a gas station and your dogs jump out, and if they run away and you can't get them back, keep leashes on your dogs when you're driving. When you stop at rest stops, don't potty them in the rest stop dog potty areas. Why? Because every freaking dog goes there. Find another spot. Next.
Looks like Linda is loving your hand gestures tonight.
She is.
Well, he's Jewish, I'm Italian, and somehow it's
Right.
just like this all
Probably
the time.
should make, yep, next.
My dogs pull me when I walk them, even with a harness.
Okay, harness. Of course they pull you with a harness. That's what harnesses are designed for. Harnesses are designed for pulling. They have one design. It's to pull. So you can't train a dog on and I know they've got the easy walk, they got this, they got that, they got every trick in the book. I use a harness for tracking and for protection work. And weight pull dogs use them as well, and then sled dogs use them as well. So so what you can do is you can get yourself a proper prong collar and watch my video. Next.
I don't use an e-collar within my training. Will I hit a wall at some point?
All depends on your training skills. And I'd like to know, when you become successful, it's your dog coming off of deer on a recall. So when your dog is chasing a squirrel or deer or running towards the street, and if you can get your dog to spin on a dime, and people can, I'd love to know how you did it. I'm not being snarky at all, and this is not like a challenge. I can do it better than you, but I'm sure a lot of people would want to know how you did it, because it can be done and people do it, but I think it's way more challenging to do it when you can just use a remote collar. And so, and a lot of people will try to go, oh, so you want the easy way out? Yeah, that's why I drive to work. And that's why I use a microwave. And that's why I want my life to be easy and simple so I can spend more time doing things that I really enjoy. So, but will you hit a wall? Depends on your dog's behavior. Depends on your dog's behavior. So, next.
Two dogs close in age. When they were puppies, they got along great. Now the younger, it's cut off, but obviously these dogs aren't getting along now.
There's way too many variables in that. I would need to know way more information. That would be a Skype thing. Next.
How much higher do you elevate the start point for correctional behavior?
Someone already asked that. Next.
Are you sure?
Yep, we already did that. Yep.
Been doing your food guarding protocol for 2 months. Dog finally responding and de-stressing. So happy.
2 months? Come on, that's not my protocol. It should have taken you 2 minutes. But I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's over. Next.
Dog is not food or treat motivated outside, only inside. Prong has been awesome. Any other tips?
So it's not, probably because it's too nervous outside. It's too nervous and fearful outside. So what you can do is you can do food training outside, and that's the only time the dog eats food, is when it's outside working. But it's probably because it's so fearful. Dogs don't eat food. You know what I mean? Fearful dogs don't eat food. So what I would do is I would do, you want to eat, you got to work outside. And it sounds mean and it sounds harsh. Dogs can go a couple of days, more than a couple of days without, like humans can go about 30 days without food. Dogs can go like if a dog didn't eat for 5 days, like it'll survive as long as it has water. So, just stick to it. Next.
Is the word no, when used with your dog, always followed by a correction of the e-collar?
No, my guys right here don't have e-collars on, so no, it's not.
Dog store, dangerous, nasty, and unsafe like dog park.
Yeah, agreed.
Best socialization places for train proofing?
The outside of a dog park. The outside of a dog park. Or, busy city streets can be it. Next. I like the outside of dog parks because dogs can't get to you. I don't trust city streets because, people don't have control of their dogs. Next.
Do you believe in play dates?
Sure, with social dogs. Absolutely. Big fan of those. Next.
Happy Valentine's Day, Jeff. Make it happen. Make what happen?
Cool.
Oh, yeah, you're in trouble. Yep, he's sleeping with Mac tonight.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Go through all the other questions.
He would like that, though. My dog gets squirrels and birds.
It's not the worst thing, yes, stay away from dog parks. It's not the worst thing in the world at all. It's just that if your dog chases an animal and it ends up in the street and gets hit by a car, it can be. Next.
Thank you from Colleen.
Oh, you're welcome. Next.
My dog is suddenly scared of the TV, ding noises, and only hanging out in the bathroom. Noise phobia?
What I would do is I would teach your dog how to do place in the TV room with the TV on, and don't let the dog break command. So you can punish the dog for breaking a known command if it knows place. So I know the TV might startle it, but You can punish the dog for breaking place. That's how they process their fears. That's how they process their fears. We do it with every fear-based dog that we work with, and we work with a ton of them. Next.
What do you think of show dog people?
I have no comment whatsoever. Next.
How to introduce dog to beach/water.
I've got a video. I got a video on my YouTube channel about how to teach a dog to swim: an above-ground pool, an in-ground pool, and then a lake, which could be a lake or the ocean. Watch the videos. They work. Next.
I think you two need to have a show on TLC. America needs to hear this.
Next.
Thank you. Missing my little Wilson terribly, but your staff is amazing.
Wilson's doing great. Next.
My Catahoula leopard dog eats my socks, paper, and shoes.
So your dog could die, and I'm being serious. Dogs eating socks die. And if they don't die, what you can do is you could, the surgery will be thousands of dollars. They could die on the table. They can get infected afterwards, and they will not learn not to eat the socks. The way you stop a dog from eating socks is with a very high punisher from a remote collar. Very high punisher from a remote collar. So what you can do is you put socks out, and oh shit, we've been on for over an hour.
And I'm choking.
Okay.
Sorry.
You put socks out, and what you can do is you wait for your dog to go by the sock, and then you use a remote collar, and you give it a very high correction, because you will save your dog's life. Next.
Gotta go.
Oh, we've been on for over an hour. All right, guys, we couldn't get to all the questions, but I mean, it's massively free content. So, you know, I've got between this and I've got YouTube, and I've got Facebook, and I've got Instagram, and then anybody can always schedule somebody else. Do you think you should pay for a dog trainer? If you can do it yourself, do it yourself. But you know, I make a living as a dog trainer, and my staff makes a living as dog trainers, and my company runs on people paying us for their services. So, but also I feel an obligation to give away all the information I know for free, and I know a lot of it is, it's obviously not as thorough. So obviously, I'm like, my videos are more self-explanatory. My one-on-one Skypes are like, literally we get into everything into detail. But on these free Skypes, Periscopes, I mean, then it's obviously you get what you get, and they're really, really short, you know, questions. All right, Jeff Gellman of Solid Canine Training, madly in love with you. I'm honored and blessed to have an audience. Thank you all so much for being here. Take care.
Night, night.